we can provide an instant quote. So you'll get a quick yes, but you also can get a quick no. We're moving towards the fact that each one of those houses will be priced individually. They'll have different premiums, even though they might be identical.
So today we're diving into something every first home buyer needs to probably understand, and that's insurance. What it actually is, why you need it, how to make smart decisions without needing a law degree. So with me is Guy, who's our head of partnerships and a long-time property owner. So quick intro, Guy. What is it that you do at Initio?
Thanks, Mega. Look, I've over the last 20 years or so, I've been working with a lot of New Zealand's leading insurers, and currently head of partnerships at Initio. So I work with our partners up and down New Zealand to make insurance easier, smarter, and more accessible for customers. And look, a lot of those customers are going to be first home buyers. So I'm delighted to have this opportunity as a first home buyer myself many years ago to try and avoid or talk about some of the pitfalls and help people avoid them.
So you've bought a few properties maybe over the years. Was that true?
Yes, here and there. I mean, as a first home buyer, I remember the overwhelming sort of memory for me is just how exciting it is. It's all the unknowns. And one of the things that sort of tripped me up at the time, I was so excited about the prospect of making an offer that I didn't even worry about getting a builder's report, for instance, or insurance. I didn't even think that was a thing, which presented its own budgeting challenges further on down the track as well. But since then, bought a few properties here and there, including Christchurch. So we're all aware of what Mother Nature can do from an insurance point of view. And one of my early lessons, I guess, was we completed a purchase in June of 2010, and that house was damaged in September 2010. So a good lesson about you need cover from the start. You never know when something's going to happen.
And you're actually starting the home buying journey again, aren't you?
Yes, I am. So again, it's even more relevant that we're having this chat, and the excitement's building it as well. So I've recently relocated. So looking at a house, and part of the learnings that I'll have from previously is that I will make sure that there are no issues with the building and that there are no flags on getting insurance. And one of the really nice things about Initio is that we've pretty much got a quote sitting on every property in the country. So if I'm interested in a house, I can quickly find out if there's any issues.
So let's start with the basics then. Why is insurance so important when you're buying a home?
Yeah, look, great question. So the place to start is what's insurance going to do? And insurance helps protect you financially from the loss of something you own. So in this case, for first home buyers, it's going to be your house. And for most of us, the house is the single biggest asset that you purchase. So you've got to ask yourself, where would I be financially if I was to lose that asset or access to it? Because the mortgage is still going to be there. And for a first home buyer, you've likely cleared out your KiwiSaver. So what happens if I've lost all of that? What does that look like? And of course, none of us want to be in that sort of disaster scenario of having paid out a lot of money, which we still have to pay back, and we've got nothing to show for it. So that's what insurance does. It helps you recover from that so that you end up with a house again.
Well, then what do you think the difference is between like 10 years ago and now?
Yeah, so I mean, basically now you can get insurance, you can get quotes 24/7. A lot of it's online. There are challenger brands like ourselves, like Initio, who are there really making things faster and easier, and genuinely speeding things up. So that's one of the big changes. I could also talk about some things haven't changed. A lot of things look a bit digital, but basically providers have just moved a paper form online, so they can be slow and clunky. But I guess so that's not necessarily changed so much. But one of the key things for me is big data. the access to it, the way it's being used. It's driven a change from community-based pricing, where basically identical houses anywhere in the country would be the same and just be replaced, without any thought, to we're now moving to using all the information we have to produce an individual risk profile on an address. That all sounds very sort of waffly, if you like, but I guess the key sort of example I can give, if you have a row of houses now coming down from a hill down towards a river, they could be identical houses, but as you get close to the river, for instance, you've got a higher risk of flood. So we're moving towards the fact that each one of those houses will be priced individually. They'll have different premiums, even though they might be identical. And that's going to be a key change, and that's going to keep on going. Yeah.
How easy is it actually to get insurance these days then?
Well, with everything going online, it's super easy to get a quote. So we can provide an instant quote. So you'll get a quick yes, but you also can get a quick no. So generally, it's really easy to get a quote and should be easier to get insurance. But for those few properties where a problem has been identified, that can be a whole lot trickier. But generally, yeah, really easy.
Well, then say somebody's ready to go and get their insurance. What do you think they should look for in an insurance provider?
So the first thing, I guess, what I ask myself, the way I look at it is, I think you're buying the right to make a claim when you're picking an insurance provider. So I think you should be asking yourself, what does that look like if I need to make a claim? So you should be looking at reputation and reviews. Now, how easy is it to interact with your provider? What's that going to look like? Is it purely online, or is it purely just telephone based, or a combination of the two? And if it is just, say, phone based, are they going to answer the phone? So look at your reviews. That's really powerful. Get a feel. Initio, for instance, we put all our reviews on our website. It's updated multiple times a week. We'll put the good and the bad on, and you'll be able to see what we say about claims, or what people say about us about claims. And use comparison tools. So again, on our website, you can look at the key benefits compared to our competitors. So that would be a key one. And also claims paying ability. So that might sound a bit dry, but is your provider going to be there when you actually need them, particularly in the event of a large scale sort of natural event? So that's a key one to look for. They're going to be there for you.
Well, say they've done all that. When should they start thinking about insurance?
Well, look, we're living in the shaky isles, and we're all aware of what can happen, the increased frequency of natural events and so forth. So firstly, be aware that you're going to need insurance. One of the early mistakes I made was not thinking about budgeting for that. So you're going to need insurance. And then when you get close to finding that house, your dream home, and you're about to make an offer, we've got a live quote waiting on pretty much every address. So why wouldn't you put that in and find out straight away whether you've got an issue or not?
How easy is it then to get insurance these days?
Well, it's super easy to get a quote, and it should be easy to get it. It's all online. It's all available to you. It's just obviously if you're picking an address where something's been flagged up as a problem, but it should be really, really quick and really easy. Certainly is for Initio.
So we've sort of covered that not all homes are the same, and not all policies are either. What types of insurance cover are there, and how do you know which one you actually need?
Well, look, first of all, what are you going to be using the property for? Now, for first home buyers, it's likely to be your own home. So that's looking like just your standard house cover. But if you're looking to buy a property to rent it out, that's starting to look at things like landlord cover. For those few lucky people who can just buy a holiday home or a batch, etc., then we've got cover for that as well. That's a separate type of cover. And then you can go into some more complex, if you like. So things like lifestyle blocks, multi-unit properties, etc. So what I would say at that stage is, look, there's a whole raft of really easily accessible information on our website. We are under our insurances section. You can go in there, and it's really simply laid out, and it can take you through the process and what you should be looking for.
And we know that first home buyers are usually sort of stretched. How do you make sure that you're covered without actually blowing the budget?
Yeah, so something I was really lousy with for a long time first up is pick an excess that you're comfortable paying if something goes wrong. And also, I mean, I joke about it a little bit, but how clumsy are you and your family? How often are you likely to be looking at doing the claims, making a small claim, etc. So there's a couple of things. The higher the excess you pick, the lower the premium will be. Because the excess, for those who don't know, is the part of the claim that you have to pay before insurance kicks in. So have a think about that. Are you able to cover a larger amount of the first part? Excesses typically range from sort of 400 to 1,000 or more. Are you comfortable to pay that? If you are, then you'll save money on the premium. Key one, I think, actually would be don't underinsure. So for a rebuild cost, when you're looking at it, a few tens of dollars for an annual premium gets you tens and tens of thousands of cover. So don't underinsure. Don't be tempted just to do that. And when you're also looking at rebuild costs, don't forget that in the event of a total loss, you're also going to have to clear up the place as well, clear up the land to then rebuild. So factor in a little bit for that as well. One quote I guess I'd put in here is that you're not paying for paper, you're paying for someone to take on a risk that you can't afford.
Well, let's talk about some of the common traps. What are the mistakes that you see people making?
Well, I mean, yeah, great. Straight up, assuming insurance is going to be automatic. So certainly before you go and make an offer, make sure that you can get cover without any issues. So that's one. And also forgetting to disclose something. So it's tempting, you might be embarrassed or whatever about something that's gone on in the past, but be open with your insurer, because the last thing you want to do is something that turns out to be material to your cover, so preventing you getting the claim sorted that you want.
Do you have any horror stories or cautionary tales?
Oh, look, I got an early introduction to the value of insurance. As a young man travelling around the Mediterranean, I got involved in a really bad car crash. And I had full cover, full travel insurance. So I was air ambulanced out and then taken to from the airport in an ambulance and sorted out hospital. And that's all pretty traumatic. But so I had that cover, so I was relaxed about that side of it. But when something horrible goes wrong, the insurance gives you that peace of mind, and that's something you just don't know until you're there. So that's one of the key things for insurance. It gives you peace of mind. And I've also seen people lose their cover through renewals. So I myself, actually, not too far ago, because I was moving around a lot, I had an annual policy which lapsed when I didn't want it to. So just be careful about the renewals. Know when it's going to come up, and also make sure that your provider has your details, because they're going to try and contact you to let you know. But sometimes these things fall through the cracks. So once you've got insurance, great, but make sure it stays in place.
And that's the really thing with Initio, right, is the dashboard, is that you can actually log in, you can update your contact details, email address, phone number, all of that. It's super easy to do.
Yeah.
Talking of Initio, where do we come in, and how do we make it easier for home buyers?
Well, okay. So we're one of the things I love about being in Initio is everything we've done is built with the customer in mind to try and make it easy. So there's a lot of clever tech there as well. You've touched on the dashboard. So as you become an Initio customer, you set up a dashboard, and from there you can do everything. You can add policies, you can make amendments, you can adjust payments, you can make claims, so that and get all your documentation. So that's really useful. So, but on top, beyond that, a couple of really key areas is the instant quote. We've sort of touched on this, but the idea that you can just put an address in and get a fully underwritten sort of quote is awesome. and claims. So we've got a claims process which just makes sure that we're asking the right questions and guiding the customer through it to make it really super easy. So when it comes to the claims time, it's going to be gentle for you because we're making it as easy as we can.
We also have a chatbot who we use and our customers use and find it quite easy, don't they?
We call him Chadbot. Chad the chatbot. Look, sort of maybe it's my age. I've not necessarily been a great fan of chatbots, but I've got to say Chad is awesome, and I think we've talked or hinted at the amount of information that's on our website. But Chad has been trained on all the documentation that we've got to sort of serve up a proper answer to a query. So you just have to put in a couple of key words and Chad will actually come up with probably links and an answer to your question. So that's really powerful.
And then what's the actual process then for getting cover through Initio?
Well, you start by putting the address in, you get the quote, and then you're answering the question. So as you go, it's a simple process. You should be able to get cover in a couple of minutes, but it's not just the property that's important. It's also a bit about you. So you've got personal disclosures to go through. So a couple of minutes, you put those in and you're there. You can hit the purchase button and pay for the policy.
Are there any times then that isn't instant?
Yeah, so the vast majority of the time, we will serve up an instant quote, but occasionally we'll be missing something, and it's typically something simple like decade built, or is the property on town water supply. So then there's just a couple of extra questions that the customer has to go and answer. But again, it's easy, and if there's something we flagged as no, we can't cover it, then it's a quick no. So you're not hanging around, and that's particularly useful for first-time buyers who are perhaps going into an auction in the next day or so, because they'll know straight away.
Tech can feel a little bit intimidating, but the right tools can make a big difference. So what tools have we built that can help first home buyers?
Well, it starts off with our smart quote engine. So talked about that instant quote. I mean, that still blows me away, really, that we're sort of the leading provider of that. It's a simple claims process. Again, I've talked about it being AI driven. We're only asking the relevant questions. So that is easy to manufacture. Easy to navigate your way through. The dashboard is really powerful. You can do everything there, including get certificates of insurance and any other documentation you need. There are tools there like your sum insured calculator. So getting the quote's one thing, but once you're into it, there's a little slider there, and you can go up or down with the amount of cover that you're looking for, and that's providing an instant update to the quote. So it's all live. That's really impressive. Go and have a play. You can adjust excesses. You can add contents cover. It's pretty smart and really easy and intuitive.
You mentioned confirmation of cover, so that's kind of the last part of the buying journey.
Yeah.
What is it, and why do banks care so much about it?
Yeah, so confirmation of cover. So look, the banks are. It's a business transaction. They're not lending you the money just on a whim or of the goodness of their hearts. They're looking to protect it as well. So again, it's that insurance thing. What happens if in a sudden and unexpected loss? So the bank needs to know that the money they're lending you is secure if something were to happen. And the document that does that in the format that's approved by the banks is the certificate of insurance. So that's available to you on the purchase. So we email that straight through to you. So again, that's easy, plus on your dashboard. But that's the certificate of insurance.
How do you get a certificate of insurance through Initio?
So it's emailed through to you on purchase. So that comes through together with your policy schedule. So that's really easy, but it's also available on your dashboard as well.
What about auctions then? So, what is a letter of intent and how does it help?
Yeah, so look, that's an important part of the process, the letter of intent. It's like a pre-approval, if you like. So what it does really is it ensures that you can get cover on that property. So don't forget, it's not just the property, it's about you as well. So you've gone through the journey and you've answered all your personal disclosure statements as well, and us as the provider are happy. So you've done everything you can other than purchase. So at that stage, you can opt just for a letter of intent, which means everybody's happy. You can get insurance if you need it, and that's great for instance, if you're going to an auction the next day, because you know there's no issues with the insurance and you can get it if you require it.
Fabulous. So that's us then. Getting your first home is a huge milestone, but protecting it doesn't need to be confusing. With the right cover and the right provider, you'll spend less time stressing and more time enjoying your new place. Thanks, Guy. And good luck to everyone out there who's about to start their first home journey.
Good luck, everyone.